well, two of you said goodbye to your doubles that were going to make their way to investigate the planet, but you went off on the Alexis. You jettisoned the grotesque statue that was in the cargo, that was kind of in the cargo hold, but also where they were holding the kind of dig equipment, and thrust that out into space. You investigated some readings that were coming from the northern hemisphere of the moon, confirmed that there were, in fact, life signs down there that weren't simply ghost blips, but you also ended up getting shot by some type of harpoon device. Thanks to some adept piloting, you managed to free yourselves from that harpoon and ended up landing near a bunker, and ran into, initially it seemed to be just some human that was there, although somebody started speaking to you and it was kind of clear that it wasn't that human who was speaking, but it turned out to be a kind of half of an android that was kind of attached or lashed onto this human. So the name of the human you ran into is Verger, and then you have Calm, Kalm, who is this half of an android, but it's the brain or whatever counts as a brain for an android is still there. So Calm had started to talk to you, and I think in that encounter it was Leon and George who were kind of taking point on that, with Vince laying back a little bit on or around the ship. And when that conversation with Calm wrapped up, it seemed apparent that there was a colony of survivors below the surface of the moon. They have built this colony. The leader of the colony is somebody named Malta, and you were arranging some meeting with Malta. Calm led you to believe that you would be welcomed by the colony, but there is at least one hitch, which is that the colony, as a kind of proof of your willingness to sacrifice for the colony, that there's some type of cannibalistic ritual that would be involved, with part of the meal being something that you all would provide or donate to the meal.
So, George doesn't really have to worry about that, right? I mean, I don't think you can eat an android's... Oh, maybe they'd want it anyways.
I think Calm would have made clear that that this would be something that would be expected of everybody.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it may be that George would be a little less queasy about that, but
yeah.
And just my Leon's understanding of our ship's ability to get out of here, right? I mean, we're hit by that harpoon, and Vince was trying to get things into place, but
the ship did sustain some damage, but it was. I mean, Vince did make a good piloting role, so I mean, the harpoon did some damage. It could have been a lot worse. I think, you know, that, you know, there was some good maneuvering that has kept the ship together in a much better condition than it would have been otherwise.
And sorry, I forget if we had ended with us going back to our ship so that we could coordinate with Vince. Or did we not do that?
I think where you had left it, I think that would be a possibility, because I think where you had left it, Verger and Calm are, I think, going to go back to find Malta and bring Malta to that airlock area.
Yeah, because I think we had kind of been like, well, we're not really sure we're going to, like, cut off a piece of ourselves, but we'd like to meet with Malta, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so why don't we, you know, what we could start it there. I mean, we could, you know, Verger and Calm has kind of made clear that right, you would need to have some conversation with Malta, that, and Calm has let you know that Malta has been an effective leader of the colony, but she's pretty kind of strict and has some pretty definite ideas about what is needed for somebody to become a member of the colony, and she's been, this is pretty desperate. I mean, you can already tell from the airlock that there aren't many resources on the moon. Really, most of the resources of this colony have been picked up because they have the harpoon gun that they use to shoot wreckage that's kind of going by, and then they are scavenging off of whatever they can pull down from this kind of graveyard of ships up around the dead planet.
So I'll say to them, we will definitely consider that offer. There are others on our ship that we can't speak for, so we'll need to go to them and before we can make a decision for us, for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, Calm is happy for you to do that, and Calm says, I'll need to, really who you need to speak to is Malta, and Calm will, tell Verger to kind of go back down into the colony so that they can bring Malta up to talk to you.
We'll plan. Okay. Yeah, we'll plan to rendezvous or come back and meet after we have our discussion with Vincent.
Yeah, and I think George had. I think I said last session that George kind of was keeping his short-range comms kind of on the whole time, so that Vince has just been able to hear all this. I mean, it might be annoying, but it's like streaming right into Vince's little earpiece or whatever that lets us communicate with him. So Vince is fully aware of all this stuff. And yeah, George says to Vince, there's no way we're gonna hurt ourselves for these people, right? I mean, we have a chance of leaving here, right? And he sounds kind of worried.
Yeah. I just gotta fix this tool, we'll be fine. Gotta cut this laser, and everything will be fine. The giant laser fixes everything, and Vince is like holding it up, and I'm not gonna use it to cut off my foot so some wacko can eat it.
Okay. Yeah, and George is like looking to Leon is like, yeah, you agree, right? This isn't, I mean, the situation does seem kind of hopeless for you guys as humans. I can, sit around and for 1,000 years if I need to. And George is kind of like basically, he's worried because it seems like the best choice almost for Leon and Vince to join this colony, instead of just starving out in space. So he's like, Leon, you're not gonna do that, right?
I think there's still a chance of us getting all the way out of this system. And, with regard to these people, my concern from a security point of view is that harpoon gun. And we could take off now and get out of here, but that harpoon gun is still, possibly a threat, and will, continue to be a threat to any ships coming through here. But I don't know, the fact that they're eating, the fact that they're making such a commitment to this does, show how desperate they are, which could mean that they're hanging on to this colony very slimly, but on the other hand, trying to pry their grip off might still be pretty dangerous if they are that desperate. And then, just out of character for a second. Was there? No, I guess and then Leon will say, and we still don't know if they know something more than they're letting on about what's keeping the ships here and what's affecting the jump drives. I mean, it might be that they don't know anything, but we risk like leaving kind of empty-handed and putting ourselves just back in the same situation we are in without more information. But if we go along with this to a certain extent and look for an opportunity to turn the tables on them, especially with getting a hold of that access to that harpoon gun, so that we can kind of keep them from using it. I think that might be a possibility, but we're operating with so little intelligence about their capabilities that we'd definitely be going in blind. It would be pretty desperate on our part as well.
Yeah, George is definitely nodding, and he's looking at the airlock. I don't know how much time we have, but and this is yet again, I feel like the skills are so terribly defined that I don't know if this is reasonable, and I don't want to make you jump through hoops, Robbie, for me, but I do think that George would be looking at it and thinking, is there a way to somehow give us remote control of these airlock doors? If that makes sense. I don't know how this technology works. I don't know if there's some kind of terminal or panel that he can try to access and link up with the ship or something. So you just tell me no if it's completely unreasonable, because I kind of expect it to be.
Well, let's make a roll and see how that turns out. And you you have a computer skill.
I have a computer skill of I guess of 10, and my intellect is 47. So I have an okay chance at this. So I just roll that. Am I at disadvantage or anything like that?
I don't think you'd be at disadvantage for it. Let's just see how the roll comes out, and I'll...
Well, I fail. Got a 68, so...
Yeah, so I think you do a quick assessment of it, and I guess what I would say is you probably think it might be possible, but it wouldn't be a quick thing. Right. I mean,
right, and they're already bringing Malta back. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so George is looking to Leon while he's like, doing whatever on this terminal or whatever is going on, and he's like, if I had time to just sit with some of their computer systems and mess with them a bit, I could really give us a huge upper hand. But it's gonna take. But it would take a while, and so he's kind of he's like I'm just not fast enough.
I think so. I think we need to. I propose we go along. That gives you more time, George. It allows us to collect a little more intel. We can try to put off any joining ritual as long as we can, and we can, take that risk. They don't know how many. I don't think they know how many extra people are on the ship. So it's Vince, and we've got the engineering guy. Is that right, Robbie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And then maybe it then makes sense to at least leave someone behind.
Okay, yeah, George is nodding at this.
Robbie, does the ship have any weapons or defensive capabilities?
The Alexis, let me see. It's not really designed to be in combat. Let's see. No, doesn't.
Oh, this is grim.
Okay.
Oh no.
That's fine. I was just double checking.
Yeah.
I still have some grenades. I have 5 grenades left.
I mean, in terms of, so not the ship itself. Now the ship does have some small earth movers and cranes and such things on it.
Oh, okay.
So not which on the surface could be turned into something that would have
right.
But in terms of like having lasers or things like that from the ship itself, no, it doesn't have any of that.
We can't blow them up from afar. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But what George is thinking is we could bury them. If we could lock these airlocks and get out there and bury them, he's kind of trying to think of a way to keep them to if they need to be neutralized to do so.
Yeah, Leon's thinking something similarly, and so I don't know if George does voice that. Leon's like, yeah, we could, I think we can find a way to bring the whole thing down on top of them. That would, but it sounded maybe like that the harpoon gun was someplace else.
Yeah, right.
Someplace else.
Right. Yeah.
Vince will kind of pipe up and say, well, I could mount this laser cutter on one of them bulldozers in there as soon as I'm done cutting this harpoon off.
Yeah, I think George is like, yeah, you should bring those, bring one of them out, just in case.
Yeah.
So did it would really be good. We could just. Wow, that's a big change in accent. It would really be good. We could just drop that statue on top of these folks. Boom. Take care of them right from orbit.
That is kind of true. I think that statue is probably hit the Earth, though, by now. I guess George wouldn't know that, but...
I know we dropped it in a pretty good orbit, didn't we? Or did I fail that roll?
I think you failed that roll, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't great. That was me failing, too, I think. That was not a great roll. We didn't get it where we wanted it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about anything about the alien people that lived in the system and stuff like that? And their alien ways?
Not yet.
No, but I'll make sure to ask them. I'll definitely ask them.
Robbie, am I going to need to roll anything? I guess like a repair or something?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I think it would be good for you to roll a repair. Do you have what is the skill that you would have that would...
I have mechanical repair.
Okay. And add that to, I think, to the intellect.
Okay. Yeah. So that's intellect of 40 plus mechanical repair, so that's a 50. Um, 53, just missed it.
So I think right, you've been out kind of assessing things and starting to do what you can, you know, what seems like it would be most productive in at least a short time to kind of get things back together. But here again, I think part of it's just going to be the time element, right? I mean, that if, you know, if you had more time and perhaps some, you know, there may be a resource issue as well, right? That, you know, the correct things to kind of patch up where that harpoon went in and stuff, right? It would be better, but.
Yeah. So then at that point, well, would we say that I've gotten the harpoon out of the ship, or is that still stuck in the ship?
Yeah, I think you would be able to pull it out, right? And now you have this
giant
hole with, you know, metal that's bent.
All right, gents, this is our choice. We can fly around with that one room not closed up, or we can find a big piece of metal somewhere. And like Vince is looking at that door, that's like that. I could just cut a nice piece out of that, like a cake.
What, the airlock door? Is that what you're?
That's what Vince is looking at.
Yeah.
Robbie, is the landscape littered with wrecks and rubble? I don't remember. There was or was there one concentrated place where all these crashed ships were?
There is a concentrated place where most of the wreckage is. Yes.
And it was miles away from this place.
Right? Yeah, it is a little distance, but I mean it's still it's not on the other side of the moon or anything. It is in proximity to where you are now. I can tell you how it's about probably about a 40 to 50 kilometer distance.
Cool.
And we have basically bulldozers and earth movers and cranes. We don't have a fast buggy or anything like that.
Yeah, what you have are you have some skeleton walkers, some of which do have laser cutters on them, and then there's I was just on the page for this. Where did you go? Okay, here it is. So you've got a couple skeleton walkers. There is a kind of little dump truck kind of thing, and then kind of a front loader type of device. And all of these would be on the small side. So like the thing I call a dump truck, you could normally would seat one, although you obviously have the part where the dirt would go, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of Malta coming back, what is the plan? Are you?
Oh, George is just. I mean, George is kind of fiddled with that terminal or panel or something, and then realized that's going to take a bit. And George is kind of now just not sitting, but facing whatever way they went and kind of waiting expectantly.
Mm-hmm.
Not really he kind of knows he would need time to do anything else.
And is Leon gonna be hanging out there as well?
Back at the airlock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I will head back to the airlock to, kind of after this powwow with Vince and everyone, prepared to kind of go ahead with my plan to stall for time and see if we can get more information out of them.
Okay. And Vince, are you staying by the ship, or are you going to go to the airlock area?
Can Slevin fly the ship at all? Does he have any pilot skills, or is he just an engineer?
It's like an engineer.
Yeah, he is like an engineer type. I think Slavin would have some very rudimentary piloting skills. You wouldn't want to ask him to do anything really difficult, but
we could have Slavin get in one of the the exoskeletons with the laser cutter and kind of hide behind where the kind of be lurking.
Yeah, and have the ship.
I don't know if he'd be up for that, but
yeah, and have the ship ready for takeoff, maybe.
Yeah.
At a moment's notice. Vince will come along and have a talk with these people. I ain't gonna turn my hand into a steak for him.
All right, and Slavin is going to stay on the ship, ready for firing up the engines or assisting from there.
Yeah, I feel like we need one guy. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so you wait a short time, and then the door kind of down into the bunker opens, and Verger and Calm come back along with a woman who's in a wheelchair, and it's very apparent that her legs have been amputated or are missing, right?
Right.
From above the knee, like kind of right above the knee. She's and when she kind of rolls up, it's very obvious, right? She it's almost as like she wants people to see that she's kind of missing her limbs, and she moves up on her wheelchair and looks at you and says, well, welcome is in order. You must have come from a great distance, and I welcome you to the Tyrant Beggar colony. We would be happy for you to join us.
Okay, yeah, George looks at her and he says, I, you know, we are still determined to leave this place. Could you help us, with information or supplies or anything to do with fixing our jump drive? If you could just help us do this, you wouldn't all have to live here slowly starving and wasting away. And then he looks to Leon like, Yeah.
She says, well, information doesn't really cost anything. As for supplies, I think you will quickly find out supplies are in very limited state, and any supplies that we have, really we need them. I mean, it's right. Giving strangers supplies would, if we did something like that, we wouldn't have remained here as long as we have. So, she says, we do not mean you any harm, and I'm willing to give you a choice. We won't attack you or your ship. But we would prefer it, and I think that you would. The more you stay out here, the more quickly you'll realize options really are limited. Not because of me, it's just the state of things. Limited options. If you would like to join us in the colony, you may do so, but there is a requirement that you demonstrate your willingness to make the sacrifices necessary to be part of the tyrant beggar colony.
Lillian will say, I'd like to believe you when you say you don't mean us harm, but we were hit by a harpoon that came from down here, and I'll point to Calm, and he said that it came from one of your people. How does that square with you telling us that you're not trying to harm us?
The harpoon would have been launched from Brecht. Brecht and his people, that they are the ones that supply us with whatever wreckage they can that they're able to pull down. I guess I would say apologies are in order, but basically whenever something flies by the moon that is in the range of Brecht's harpoon, he releases it. He may not have known. I think he probably didn't know that your ship was inhabited.
And you say Brecht and his people. Does that mean he's not part of the colony? That he hasn't, made the sacrifice?
Calm at this point would speak up and says, well, he is part of the colony, but he and his people, right, they have a special job to do. And, Malta then says, well, yes, he has a special job. He is part of the colony, but he and his crew man the kind of salvage area for us. She's kind of looking at you. She's says, I realize that this is a difficult decision, but unfortunately, I'm, the way I see it, there are two options for you. I'm content with either one. I mean, you can come and become, one of us. We have managed. It's not a luxurious life, but we have managed to survive, which is more than I can say for the crews of the ships that are constantly floating around up there.
Yeah, George is like, listen, we're not gonna, chop off pieces of ourselves just yet. Maybe in a couple days, these, the two of them will get too desperate and, come back and give you their flesh. I never will. Our ship must leave here. And if you will give us information, I can promise you that we will take you as well if we're able to figure out how to leave.
You are able to, in terms of this ritual, you don't have to do what I have done. And she points down at her missing legs. You can choose what you would like to add. And John is a very precise surgeon, so whatever you choose to offer up, he will make sure that it is removed safely, sanitarily, and if you think about it, there are many parts of you that you could remove without it really impeding you in any way. Half of an ear, the tip of your pinky, the end of your nose.
Yeah, George says if you need the end of my nose to give me reasonable information, I will freely give it.
And she smiles and nods and says, "Very, very well. How about the two of you?"
How much food is on the Alexis?
That is actually a good question.
I had written down, let's see where I find it here. Here it is. Food on the Alexis. You have the... there would be... sufficient food would still be on there for the crew for, I would say, a few weeks at least. Right?
Yeah.
Well, well, then Vince will say, "Look, I can give you none of this, but I got some food on there that I could give you."
George kind of gives Vincent a look of puzzlement, but you know, he's not saying anything.
Yeah. There's more than enough food. We could spare a little bit of food for your colony in exchange for some information. I don't mean my thigh. I mean actual real food. So you can still eat that.
You can see that Malta's thinking about this offer of some food for some time. I mean, she'll say, if you give us a decent amount of food, that will buy you some time. But she says, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, the time will be limited, right? And after that food is consumed, we will ration it out as we do all things. It's not like we'll have some big, you know, decadent feast. We'll ration it, but when the food is gone, then the same question will arise.
Malta, it seemed. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Malta, I understand that you've been able to survive here, and I understand that many people who've come to this system haven't, and I respect that. But I have to ask, what do you see as the end game for your colony? You know, if you've completely given up on trying to get out of here, then it seems to me that eventually, you know, eventually kind of hanging on by a thread like this, the colony will fail. We believe that there's still a possibility of figuring out whatever in this system is making the jump drives malfunction and turning it into a graveyard. You know, we came with another ship who is even now investigating other sources of that mystery. And so it isn't just us who we were not just offering our own assistance, but the possibility that both us and our companionship could figure out a way to get us all out of here. But again, we would need you to open up to us about what you know.
I mean, I can tell you what I know, but I will say this. I have heard countless speeches such as you have just made. People hoping that they could find some way out of this predicament. The end result is a waste of resources, futility,
makes sense,
and tragedy for them. I realize that you may not think our existence up here anything worthwhile. You may see it as hopeless, but I think we've all come around to this conclusion that survival is at least better than certain death, and there have been countless who have tried, but it's all been futile.
Okay, I think we should go get. Yeah, I think George is like, we can go get the food that we promised you, and we'll exchange it to you, and you can give us your, all the information you know. And I guess George goes to, leave and,
Yeah, Vince will get Slevin to call out some food. Like, if we have, 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, let's just give them a week of food. And then, hey, a week of food for the whole crew should last them a little bit. Trust me giving up some of those hamburgers in there, that's like cutting off my arm.
George is kind of like, when we're outside, George is like, we have to, even if I die, I have to die trying to get this ship out of here. And he's like, I don't think we should give them the food. I think we should bury them and demand information from them, because there's simply no way that I am going to stay here with them. I would rather, it's like, I think he literally cannot just abandon the ship. I feel like it's programmed into his brain to not do that. So he's like, I can't just abandon the ship like that.
It sounds like Brecht and his people are somewhat separated from them, and I wonder if they're located near the location we saw with more wrecks. So if we buy some time by continuing to seem like we're entertaining the idea, we can use maybe one of the land vehicles, the loader or the dump truck, to make it over there and see if we can get a better sense of what Brecht and his people are up to. If we can take control of the harpoon gun, that might give us more bargaining power. If they realize that, if they realize that we'll cut them off from any help for moral salvage, they might change. She might change her mind about how hopeless it is for them versus trying to get out of here.
Yeah, George definitely likes that plan. Yeah.
I'm more, and Leon will even say this, I admit, I'm not against blowing them up, but I'd rest easier if I'd rest easier knowing that Brecht and his group were neutralized or out of the way before we because I think if we were able to somehow take them kind of neutralize them, or at least neutralize the harpoon gun, that would give us a certain amount of leverage that we don't have right now without resorting to completely cutting off our certain options for continuing to parlay with them.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and give them just some snacks, and we'll go get ourselves this harpoon gun, or at the very least a 5x5 slab of steel I could bolt up in there.
Yeah. We should probably fly the ship over there, right? Because they might just go in our ship and take all the food. We told them we have a bunch of food on the ship, so maybe we can fly it low over to where those other guys are. Because I feel like, I guess George would be saying this probably, I don't think we can trust these people who'd who'd force other people to cut up pieces of themselves. I don't think we can trust them. not going to our ship.
Well, yeah, it's something about this place that makes people crazy. That statue made everybody on the Alexis crazy. We don't even know where all of them at, right? So.
Yeah.
So are you gonna is the plan to fly the ship over to the other location?
Fly it part of the way. I don't want to go the whole way because Brecta has his harpoon gun.
Okay. Are you planning to give Malta some food before you go?
Yeah.
And
that's Vince's plan. I don't know how the others feel. But yeah.
I mean, I think then it gives us maybe it will give us. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense. It'll give us the sense that we're still playing along, and if they do, I think if our plan works, we'll be in a position to steal it back from them or take it back from them if we need to.
Okay, and so what do you tell Malta? I mean, like, you know, Malta's waiting there, and you know, what would be the line that you would be giving her?
We haven't.
I assume. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say, you know, you may be right about how futile this is. We still have some. We still haven't given up, and like, I'll point to Vince. Like he said, you know, we're willing to share some of what we do have as a gesture of good faith, but we need some time to kind of see if we can follow up some leads that we have in terms of figuring out, you know, what's going on in this system with the jump drive.
She says very, very well. As I say, we have no desire to attack or really threaten you in any way, and we appreciate the offer of the food. I hope you won't take any offense, but I mean, eventually the ship is going to be ours. I mean, you know, history has told the same story over and over again.
Well, yeah, but if we have to come back here, we'll fly it back and you won't have to shoot us down.
Yeah, and so she kind of agrees, and she when she sees the food, she smiles and you know, says the colony will appreciate living on sour milk and goat meat is very well, it's just what we need, but it's, you know, always the same. You know, this at least will be something different for us.
No, yeah, you like them burgers. They have good seasoning to them.
Okay, and then you're gonna Vince, you're gonna fly that ship part of the way over to where the kind of scrap heap was.
I was thinking we'd try to find a spot. What do you guys think about? I mean, they shot at us while we were entering orbit, or while we were entering airspace.
I guess kind of. I mean, airspace. Yeah, it's very thin atmosphere. I mean, I mean, it was when you were kind of essentially kind of in orbit. I don't have a, you know, specific distance, but yeah, it was when you were kind of checking things out on the right, where you were picking up those life signs.
Right. Okay. Let's just get out of the immediate area and make sure that wherever we land has a relatively easy path to drive one of the land vehicles over to the Harpoon.
Okay. Let's go on and have you do a piloting roll to just see. I don't think that. Well, I mean, if you rolled really poorly, something bad like a critical failure could be something. But yeah, let's just see how the roll goes for piloting over there.
Okay, and is that going to be intellect or speed?
I think
did we last time?
I'll let you choose.
Okay, I'll make a speed then.
Okay.
So speed of 48, and plus 10 for piloting. 37.
Okay. Yeah, so with the success, you know, the ship is, you know, you're able to get it up and flying kind of low over the moonscape. And I mean, you don't have a problem. I mean, you kind of know generally where this location would be. You don't have a problem with that. You're able to fly low enough that you feel pretty secure that you know, they wouldn't be able to kind of get you with the harpoon gun again. And yeah, so I think it just kind of goes as planned, and you find a spot that seems pretty convenient as a landing pad for you, and that seems to offer some pretty good possibility of driving one of those vehicles over to the heap of scrap.
While we're flying, Vince would ask to see if anybody can use the essentially the computer, the sensors, to detect any ship signals or any distress signals or any IFF information from any of the floating wrecks or any of the ones on the ground.
George can try to do that. He's got computers.
Okay.
Okay. George apparently doesn't know how to use computers, even though he does. So another failure.
So let me see, for that failure,
yeah, what does it mean?
the we do this. I mean, we'll say, yeah, you do seem to be picking up some type of signals from multiple different areas, but anytime you try to kind of like really lock in on any of them, they seem to disappear. So you know, they have this kind of ghostly quality to them. And it's not a lot of them, but you know, occasionally you think you pick up something, but then you try to go to it and kind of lock in on it, and then it disappears. Right. So there's not anything definitive that you're really able to pick up.
Oh, it was an 88. I critically failed.
Oh, you critically failed.
Yeah, I did. I forgot to.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So with the critical failure, this is going on, and you try to do some diagnostics, and you're actually getting the sense that maybe it was a result of the harpoon shot, but that something seems to be really wrong with these sensors on the Alexis. That there's some type of, your best guess is that there's some type of malfunction now going on with those sensors.
Yeah, George kind of tells that to Slavin, that engineer guy. And he says, that'll be something for you to look at while we're, risking our lives later.
Well, Slavin says, well, all right, I'll see what I can do, but I think, George, I think you're right. I think maybe the hit that we took did maybe some more damage than what we thought. That it may not just be the integrity of the ship's hull, but we may be having some type of computer damage that we're looking at here. Right, but you're able to land at that place, and do you want to? Is everybody going to go out to take a ride over?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna.
Okay.
Fully armed, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you drive over there, and as you approach this kind of pile of wreckage, I mean, you're as you get there and have visual kind of contact with it, yeah, you can see that it basically looks like a big scrap yard where things have been, in some way organized a little bit, right? Scraps put into piles of different types, and you do see some people who are waving at you. I mean, they're wearing their kind of suits, given the thin atmosphere, so they're suited up, but they are hailing you.
How many of them are there? Can we tell?
You see two figures right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Are they armed?
They do not seem to be armed.
Okay. George is gonna try to communicate with them with his comms, and say, hello. Basically.
And a voice answers, I think maybe I owe you some type of apology. Are you the ship that we hit? Are you from that ship?
We are.
Oh, well, I hope, I hope we didn't cause irreparable harm. My name's Brecht. I'm with the Tyrant Beggar colony. I mean, I'm out here with my guys, just trying to gather wreckage, things that might be useful. Well, I mean, we saw, anytime we see a ship coming close by, we do what I can to haul it down.
Even when you can see that it's under power.
Oh, we never, as I say, I'm apologizing. Almost never do we see a ship that's under power. Almost always it's just like, derelicts just floating in space.
So Leon's plan was we're gonna take over the harpoon gun, right?
Yeah, I think we should still do that.
Okay, so Robbie, can we see the harpoon gun or anything, like where it shot from?
Yeah, you would be able to see, off on the edge of the big, it's this big kind of yard area with like different piles of wreckage, and off on the edge of it you can see the kind of apparatus, right, that would be the harpoon gun.
Okay. George, says to Leon, because are we still a distance away from these people?
Yeah, I think you'd be. I mean, because you're doing it through your comm, so you have that kind of comm link. You're kind of in visual. I mean, you're obviously in eyesight of them, but I think it's still quite some distance here.
Okay, so yeah, George says to Leon, "Are we just gonna kill these guys and take? Or are we gonna capture them? I mean."
If there's
he's walking towards them. He's like walking towards them.
If there's other people still manning the harpoon gun, let's take these guys and use them as a way to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to. Yeah. I don't think they're leaving us much choice, and I don't. I don't know that I believe him that he can't tell the difference between a powered ship and a derelict.
Yeah, George looks at Leon and he says, "Leon, these are our enemies. We don't need to think about hurting them."
Yeah. So we'll I think George and Leon then will approach. We've still got the little vehicle, right? So
right, you're in the vehicle. I mean, the way I'm imagining, right, the vehicle that, in my mind, would make the most sense would be that kind of dump truck.
Yeah. Right,
where one person would be driving it, and then the other's, the most convenient place would be in the bed of the.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Vince will drive then.
Yeah.
Because I have to have space up front for my big laser cutter.
So let's drive over to them and we'll tell them to let us into the. Well, we'll tell them to let us into the.
Yeah, George says to Leon, not Leon, to Vince. Vince, you should drive the car so that we're in this dump truck. I think we should try to place it between us and the harpoon gun, to kind of block the line of sight a bit.
They're gonna pull around behind them towards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can't see what's going. Yeah. So that anyone at the harpoon gun can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And George is like, we'll really try not to shoot them. Hopefully they'll be reasonable.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make a deal with them. Maybe they are as crazy as the other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you're gonna pull between them and the harpoon gun with your little truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would do that, and right, they would kind of watch you as you're kind of pulling in, and as you get closer, you would see that they do have guns on them, but they're not holding them. The guns are just kind of strapped on their back at this point, and they don't really seem to see you as a threat, right? So that they'll see you kind of pull up over there, and they'll just start walking towards you at a leisurely gait.
I have a question. Are they like, is this like the kind of like low gravity walk where they're kind of like bouncing along very slowly?
Yeah, I think it probably is like they probably have like some weights on their boots to kind of keep them down a little bit.
And my follow-up question is, would it be more reasonable for us to just ram them over with this truck or something? I mean, I just don't, or we're going to try to get them to surrender or something.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that if maybe, like, ideally, like, we've put the truck in a position where anyone at the harpoon thing can't see this. We let them get close enough to the truck so they're kind of blocked, the vision's blocked, and then we throw down on them and tell them to drop their weapons.
All right, yeah. That's good.
Okay. I'm actually gonna just do a roll to decide if the harpoon gun is currently being manned by somebody, which you would be able to see, but I'm gonna give it a percentage chance. It doesn't seem to be currently manned by anybody. Not currently occupied. I imagine it's like a thing where right, there's like a seat up there and a way to kind of maneuver it around to kind of get a kind of stable aim at something like that. But you don't see anybody up there right now.
All right, so yeah, I guess we're waiting until they get close enough, and
then we'll. So that's what Leon's plan is. Once they're kind of close enough, he'll then pull up his submachine gun and cover them and say, "Okay, slowly take those rifles off your back and put them on the ground."
Okay, so when you make your hostile attention apparent, Brecht goes, "Whoa. Look, and he he'll comply with your orders. He will remove the gun slowly and say, "Look, we're sorry about the ship. I guess, look, I mean, if you need some scrap or something like that, fine, you can take, what scrap that we have here, poke around in the piles, see what you want, but look, we're not, we don't want to be your enemy. Okay, we did realize that you were under power after we shot you, okay? But look, when you were when we saw your ship just kind of like floating around there, we had no idea."
George is like going up to them and gonna try to disarm them, and also if he sees anything that would be like a communication device, he's gonna try to smash it.
Okay, and you won't need to roll for that. They're not going to, they're covered with guns right now, right? So they're not gonna kind of risk anything. So you are able to do that. Brecht will say, "Look, you know, you can have what you want from around here. Look, if you want to kind of talk about other options that we might have, I mean, I'm happy to do that.
Where do you stay with your crew?
Okay. He says, well, do you know about the main bunker? Like, have you met or heard anybody named Malta? We have a main bunker, okay, from the colony.
He lives there too.
Do what?
So he lives there as well. Is
Well,
what he's saying.
Well, look, my name's Brecht, and I have a small crew of people out here, and we have a little bunker here. Malta and I. Malta's the leader of the colony. We have an understanding. We kind of help each other out. You know, one thing I would say about Brecht and this other guy is, at least from what you can tell, they don't have any missing parts. Okay.
Yeah.
They seem to be, as far as you can tell from what you can see, and they are suited up, but they do seem to be intact. Yeah. But he says, look, we have an understanding. She needs what we can provide, and she lets us, well, she gives us certain privileges being out here.
George is like, as he's giving this long, explanation, George is like, restraining both of them somehow. And he's like, all right, let's head to the harpoon gun.
Yeah, they can hop in we can push them in the dump truck with us.
Okay. All right. Brecht isn't really happy about the treatment now, and he's like, "Look, I'm willing to work with you guys. What do you want? What do you want from me?" And I mean, if you're moving over to the harpoon gun, he says, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah. Yeah. What does Leon do? Orphans.
We can. I'll tell him. We heard Malta's pitch, and we're not interested in. We're not interested in clinging on here and doing nothing but surviving. We are, even if it ends up being futile, we're not gonna rest until we've at least explored all options of getting out of here. And despite what you're saying now, we don't trust you people down here with this harpoon gun.
Yeah.
Well, look, the harpoon gun, it was unfortunate. I will tell you, the harpoon gun, we wouldn't survive here without it. I mean,
George is like, that's the best thing I've heard all day. This is exactly what we need to get some help here. We gave up like a week's supply of food just to get, a little bit of information, a crumb of information, so.
Well, look, you've got the upper hand on this situation. Brecht says, there's no doubt about that. If you want to hold the harpoon gun hostage, I mean, I don't know. Nobody's ever done that with Malta before. I mean, she I mean, I think she knows it's important. I mean, she knows that we're important to her, right? I mean, that what few new resources kind of come into the colony, they come through us, and it's because we're hauling it down from those ships that happen to pass close by.
So Vince will, get us closer to the harpoon gun, and anyway, all right, let's huddle up. How many more people you got?
You said how many more people do they have?
Yeah. Oops, sorry. How many more people do they have?
I've got a roll for the complete. Bryce says there are about 15 of us.
Whoa.
Over here.
Okay.
All right. So this is what I need. I need a piece of blank steel, whatever the standard steel is, but like this and like this. You got something like that?
Oh yeah, I've got something like that.
All right. So here's the thing: we don't trust you after we repair the hole you put in our ship. We don't really trust you not to put another hole in our ship, and I think that's what's motivating my friends here. Plus I got a couple of questions I'd like to ask you, but first things first, let's go ahead and see if we can fix this, get my piece of metal.
Mm.
All right, so Brex says, well, there's scrap out here, and Vince, he looks at you and says, "What is your name?"
I'm Vince.
Well, Vince, I'm gonna get a special piece for you, something that will patch it up. I want you to come with me. You can look. You may think I'm up to some type of screwy business. You've got your gun, your laser cutter. I'm not armed. You have me tied up. There's something I want you to look at that I think you'll find interesting.
All right.
And maybe we'll give you some hope.
Okay, this is exciting.
All right, let's take a look.
George is heading with the other guy, this other this other hostage to the harpoon gun.
Okay. So he'll take you up there. And
oh yeah, who's Leon going with? Because
it sounds like Brecht doesn't want Leon to go with us. He's just asking.
Well, yeah, Brecht would like it's just Vince and him, right?
Vince, Leon will give Vince a look. Like, are you comfortable with that? You got it, because you have you do have your you just have your your laser cutter.
Yeah, I've got my laser cutter, and
okay.
And what else do I got with me? And a crowbar.
oh yeah, and I mean George is like, if anything happens to Vince, we're gonna destroy your harpoon gun. So don't, if you have some kind of plan, you should probably abandon it.
Yeah, and as Brecht is like leaving with Vince, I'm gonna kind of take out one of my grenades just so that it's clear that Brecht sees that I have those.
Yeah, and he knows what those are. So he says, look, there won't be any of that type of demolition work that you need to do. Trust me. Yes, but he'll if Vince is agreeable, he's gonna take Vince out of the scrapyard. On another side of the scrapyard, there's this big machine contraption that clearly is kind of designed to kind of tear things apart and kind of pull wreckage apart into component pieces and things like that. So he takes you by that, and near that big scrapping machine, there's a kind of wall, kind of metallic wall that's serving as, it kind of looks like it's just there as a kind of retaining wall to kind of hold back some of the the side of a hill on the moon. But there is he kind of walks up to that, and there is a doorway somewhat hidden in this wall that he takes you through, and he takes you through this duct. It's dark, but there's like some faint light in that duct, and the duct ends and opens up into this underground, pretty large underground room. And what you see there is a ship. It's a hodgepodge type of ship, of clearly kind of made of pieces and bits of other ships that have been kind of welded and stitched together. It's pretty large. It's you can kind of tell by looking at it. It's something of a monstrosity of a ship, but it clearly is something that would have been taking a pretty long time to build. I mean, it's, as I say, pretty large, and lots of pieces have kind of gone together to make the ship. And Brecht says, I'm Vince, I'm thinking along the same lines of you and your companions. I mean, I've been dreaming of getting out of this situation. I mean, the problem is that jump drives just don't work, and so I've been trying to put my ship together. I've abandoned the idea of getting a jump drive out of here, but I've got this ship. It has some cryo chambers that I've been able to kind of put together for a long journey.
What kind of avionics you got in that thing? Where'd you get those from?
Say that again?
Vince asked, what kind of avionics do you have in that thing? Where'd you get those from?
He'll rattle off. He's proud of the ship, right? He calls it the Lucifer Rising. And if you ask him kind of question about kind of technical details of the ship, he's more than happy to talk to you about it, and talk about like the ships that pieces were pulled out of, right, to put this together. And despite the fact that it looks like a monstrosity, the ship looks like it may in fact be operational. Like, and as Brecht talks, it sounds like Brecht knows his ships and knows a bit about, construction and putting things together.
Well, all we have to do is fix one hole on our ship. But maybe you all would like to come out, get out of here with us. Have you figured out why the jump drives don't work?
Well, it's something with that planet that we're orbiting around, and I mean, I don't know how long you've been here, but I mean, not only is this place wearying, but I tell you, the longer you're here, things start to kind of come to your mind that are, you know, in your dreams. People kind of go crazy around here, and maybe it's just that we've been stuck here so long and it's so helpless. But that planet that we are constantly orbiting around, that it is clear that there's something radiating from that place.
Have you seen any weird statues around on the moon?
Oh, yeah, I've I don't know if you've heard of, I need to get my name here. I don't know if you've heard of Lear. She lives on the colony. She's always making sculptures, and a lot of people wish she would just stop doing that. There's I don't know, that she seems possessed, that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. This whole place is nuts. So what would it take for you to get your ship ready to go?
Well, he says, you know, I've worked on it for 4 years. I tell you, I mean, if we went over to your ship and kind of compared them, and you know, we might have. I tell you, right now, it's really, I have full confidence in the navigation of my ship. I have full confidence that it is going to take us where we need to go. At this point, my worry is the duration of the ship, of our journey, because you know we're not going to be doing it on jump drive, so our cryo chambers are really going to have to be set to, you know, lock us away for a long time.
Yeah, I see what you mean. All right, let's go talk to the others. Let's talk about this a little bit.
Okay, so he's happy to do that. He does say this though. He says, "Look, we'll do that. If other members of my crew are around, we don't say anything about this."
Okay.
There are a couple others who know about it,
right?
But this is not something that I've relayed to. Well, I certainly haven't relayed it to Malta. She would flip.
Yeah.
She'd lose her arms if she heard about this. And even my crew up here, God bless them, right, devoted to me. But I've just felt like this little project needed to be under wraps.
Yeah, I can understand that. People might not like that. All right, let's go back and talk about it.
Okay, so yeah, he'll you know, walk back with you. He seems to be a little bit more at ease, right? That you're kind of willing to kind of discuss things with him, and that your reaction. He was kind of pleased with your reaction to the ship he's put together and ideas that he has of getting out of here. But yeah, you work your way back, and Vince, do you kind of just spill the beans of what he is?
Well, I asked him on the way back, can we trust the other guy you were with?
No, not him.
All right. Well, what I'll do is we'll just set him aside, and I'll have my friends come have a conversation with him.
Okay.
So yeah, part of the way back, you'll have Vince say, "Hey, I need to talk to you two. You gotta, just have a conversation."
Yeah, I'll go over to Vince. I'm going to keep my eyes on the two, Brecht and his friend.
Yeah.
And Vince, Brecht will ask you some rather pointed questions about the Alexis and what it has on board. And right, I mean, you'd ask him like what would his ship need? He does, ask pointed questions where clearly he's kind of fishing to see if it might have the parts that would be needed. If he asked those questions, would you be honest with him? Or would you be cagey? Would you be dishonest and give him false information?
Vince will be cagey. He won't. He'll, as much as Vince can, he will be cagey about it. He's like, well, we got this, and I won't mention any of the other ships either, because we know there's another ship that Taconite is up there.
Mm-hmm.
But what Vince will say is, I don't know if she has the burn to take us STL all the way back to where we need, but that's an idea I've been thinking about. So he'll sort of try to steer the conversation into what either ship will need to make that journey.
Okay. Yeah, and Brecht will then start to say, well, I think I've got to look at your ship. I've got to kind of get into it to see, and clearly he's most interested in some of the kind of the status of the cryo chambers, what kind of cryo chambers you have, also a little bit about some of the life support system that he's asking about.
Yeah, Vince will be cagey about it. He'll say it was a rough ride to get here, and I haven't really done a full checkup on it yet. So I don't know if everything is 100%.
Right. Right. And Brecht is kind of clear that he's going to have to, if possible, get a close look at what your ship has.
Although, it's from looking at his ship and listening to him, do I think that the Alexis is still a better option, or has he really built something that could, if we needed to fly out of here for the next 100 years, would work?
It is clear that the Lucifer Rising is a ship that he has been building for one specific purpose, which is to have a super long journey under thrusters that would keep people alive. But we're talking about years and years and years that this thing would have to be would be going to make it
If George knows anything about this plan, I mean, I feel like George would like this. You know, like we can get out of here, and maybe if we get far enough away from the planet, we could use a jump drive.
That's exactly what Vince was thinking.
And so, you know, given that George is around, you guys know he probably is, you know, actually pushing on Vince to be less cagey and to help this guy. I mean, and maybe even like remove the guy's restraints. The other dude, I mean, he's probably tied up or just, you know, just somewhere secure, because we're not around him anymore.
What do you think, Leon?
It sounds like we can maybe work with Brecht. You know, he hasn't given up, and that's the most important thing. If he needs help with his ship, we can do that. And if he needs help, you know, to make sure that he can continue to work on his ship without interference from Malta and her people, I think we can help with that too.
But one thing I will say to Brecht is that at the very least, and this is as we're walking back, it's just the two of us, at the very least, we're going to have to disable that harpoon gun. Temporarily. So, I mean, enough that they can repair it if they had to. But otherwise, it's going to take a pot shot at one of us if we try to lift off. Maybe you, maybe me, maybe both of us.
So, and do you want to disable it right now? Do something to temporarily?
No.
Oh, you're just saying that when you depart. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Brecht is more than happy to agree with that part of the plan. Yeah.
Okay, I like Brecht. I feel like he's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I mean, Brecht. Brecht is curious by all of you folks, and he clearly is a little bit at ease, kind of talking to you right now. That you know, he seems to trust that you all have similar ideas, right? About this, and yeah. So. I mean, at this point, I mean, I think what Brecht would propose is he would say, look, I'm happy to take you on board the Lucifer Rising to see what I've put together there. We could go over to your ship, kind of get an assessment of what your ship has, and you know, try to out of that see if we could put something together that seems like it would get us out of this wasteland.
Yeah, George is really excited. George is like, so should we be on the lookout for? Actually, George is like, could we fly your ship over to where ours is? Maybe we can move both of them as far as possible away from here. And so we can do all this work without any chance of intrusion.
The problem with that's going to be that the bunker that Brecht's crew is living in. I mean, they do have life support and stuff like that kind of going on there. Obviously, I mean, you could potentially, you know, Brecht says, well, we could do that, but then we would be, you know, depending on the life support of, you know, he's thinking about resources, right? I mean, would that be the best use of resources. I mean, he just thinks that you know, his ship is right in its little bunker, and right, he can work on it without having to be in his vac suit or anything like that.
Right.
In that kind of underground area.
Okay.
Whereas if you're working on ships, you know, out on the moon surface, yeah, you'd have to be suited up and yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, is everybody in agreement now that the plan would be to kind of assess the two ships, see about putting something together that would potentially get you off the moon and away from the graveyard?
Yeah.
If possible, Vince would like to take both ships, at least into space.
Mm-hmm.
And then assess the situation from there. Like, if there are other derelicts we could get some stuff from as well. And if we could figure out what's going on the planet, you know, then we could all pile into the Alexis, which has a working jump. Well, wait, no, the Alexis doesn't have a working jump.
No.
So we could all find a working jump drive. Again, not mentioning the taconite. I don't want to mention the taconite till we get into space. You know. And then that would make our lives easier. But on the other hand, if we have to, we can just fly away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would just say that right, the ship that Brecht has put together, as I say, it's made for one purpose. So in terms of it kind of, I mean, it has some maneuverability and that type of thing, but really it's a ship designed to leave and go in one direction for a really long time. That's right. Everything has been kind of put into that kind of single-minded, somewhat monomaniacal, right, goal, right?
Yeah, it's not designed to fight. It's not designed to float around. It's designed to leave and then punch a button and go.
Right, and everybody goes to sleep for a extended period. All right, so I think this may be a good time to end it, and I think with this plan, now if you wanted to go down to the planet, things would be different. I think with this plan, if like you all were thinking, yeah, kind of leaving on the Lucifer Rising and or Alexis was it, right? That one more session would probably finish it up for you. I could show you a little bit behind the screen right now, because I was thinking that you might pick up an interesting signal from somewhere, except the critical failure on the sensor roll probably would have will effectively rule that out, right? Because I think, yeah, it makes sense that the critical failure would have like kind of been there, because yeah, the you know, something's going on with the Alexis's sensors. But yeah, I mean, I think that we'll see what happens next week. But it's, I think, possible that you may get out of this, right? I mean, if you're able to kind of scrap it all together with Brecht, that might be a plan that would work.